Greetings comic lovers and welcome back to Casually Comics, the channel where we chat all things comics, from reviews of comics new and old, to history, to anecdotes, to really wherever our whims take us. Meeting people, or rather looking at their first appearances. We all have our vices and this is mine. I need to go back to the beginning. Today we're going to be taking a look at a classic Batman villainess. Now at the time of this recording, often turned anti-hero, eco-terrorist, and sometimes girlfriend of Harley Quinn. Also ambassador / embodiment of the green. It's Poison Ivy, and she started off as none of those things. Not even the protector of the earth angle. No, she started off wanting to be the queen of the underworld and also the hottest supervillain out there. Hottest female supervillain. There was a distinction drawn. Sure, she's murdering people, but damn, there she is, Mrs. Homicidal Maniac. Poison Ivy has changed a lot from the first inception. Case in point, she's no longer a love interest for Batman or in love with him. Although, is she actually in love with him here? You'll have to decide that. I, for one, am not convinced. It's about to get real stereotypical and cliched up in here as we travel back to 1966 and Batman 181. Get excited. But before we get started, I'm Sasha, and if you're enjoying this content, you know what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, join us on this comic book journey. Poison Ivy was created by Robert Knaier and Sheldon Moldoff. Wait a minute, Sheldon. We've heard that name recently. The Polka Dot Man. I will never be free of the Polka Dot Man, for truly his reach knows no bounds. Poison Ivy's character design was modeled off of famous pinup and fetish model Bettie Page. Initially, Ivy had the same haircut and figure. Some of her powers are said to have been inspired by Nathaniel Hawthorne's short story Rappaccini's Daughter, published for the first time in 1844 in the United States Magazine and Democratic Review. So for those who have not read it, here's a quick recap of that story. Giovanni Guasconti, a student who falls for a girl named Beatrice, the daughter of a Dr. Giacomo Rappaccini, a mysterious scientist. He learns that Beatrice has been subjected to an experiment raised amongst poisonous and toxic plants, and so she herself is now poison, and her touch kills small animals and flowers. But he can't resist her, for she is beautiful, and she swears to him that there's more to her than just this horrifying ability, that inside she's kind and sweet and gentle. But by spending so much time with her, he himself also becomes toxic, and so he has to look for an antidote, a cure. He finds one, but when he tries to administer it to her, it kills her rather than cures her. The tragedy. You can see some of this in Poison Ivy's poisonous nature, but these comparisons will become far more apparent as the character evolves over time. She's not really overly connected to plants at her inception. It's just, oh, her costume's got plants on it and her name is Poison Ivy. It's a bit more of a thematic connection, less of an actual I control plants. So with all that laid out, let's meet Poison Ivy. Trouble between the dynamic duo. Is she the cause? Beware of Poison Ivy. Her wrist wreaths look like marijuana leaves though. Oh no, the dynamic duo is fighting over the devil's lettuce. Batman meets a luscious nemesis, the unique villainess, the irresistible Poison Ivy. At this point, I think it would be more unique if he didn't meet a villain who fell in love with him or that he fell in love with. Her charms are so contagious that they trap him at every turn. And Batman is leaving Robin to take out all the goons because he's too busy making out. Typical. I see little has changed. I can't wait for that joke to make no sense as the context is lost to time. The inevitability that awaits us all. At the Gotham City Museum, Bruce Wayne, millionaire sportsman and playboy. Hold on, sportsman? Which sport? All of them? Is he the best sports ball player out there? I love sports ball. Anyway, him and his ward Dick Grayson are attending a sensational pop art show. I'm not putting the quotations around pop, they did. I'm just following their lead. The exhibits are of the top female supervillains out there, who also happen to be the hottest. Actually, it's the hottest who also happen to be the top. They are Dragonfly, Silken Spider, and Tiger Moth. You may be wondering, have we seen these villainesses before? And the answer is no, they were created for this issue so there would be other hot villainesses for Poison Ivy to have beef with. She needed hotness rivals. We couldn't really use Catwoman at this point in time because there's stuff with Catwoman and the Comics Code Authority. They really did not enjoy Catwoman. That Harley Quinn Black, White, and Red Chapter 2, where Gotham had an underground fashion elite that hosted villainous fashion shows, is looking more and more plausible by the minute. However, their evening out is interrupted by Poison Ivy, who appears and proclaims that not only is she the hottest of the supervillains, but also the most competent and evil. She claims it's just no one knows it yet because her crimes are that good. She's never been caught. You are a luscious dreamboat, but as for being public enemy #1, mind proving that to the police? For you, handsome, anytime. No handcuffs are needed. Just slip your arm through mine and call me Ivy. Poison Ivy. I don't know, I think we had a really good opportunity here for her to be called Poinsettia. Also, yes, an Adam West Batman today. Sometimes people tell me that that's the voice I should attempt for 60s Silver Age Batman, and today I felt like it, so it's a thing that we're doing. Christian aka Kermit Bale needed a day off. And if you miss the days of the Kermit Bale meme, you're missing out. Check it out. Okay, so Cliff Notes is that basically during interviews, Christian Bale tends to make a lot of faces like a Muppet, specifically Kermit. Also, the press are completely shallow about her declaration of criminal mastery.
With a face like that, it doesn't matter whether she's telling the truth or not.
I see Gotham's journalism scene is at peak integrity. But shock and awe, she's actually there to commit crimes. It's almost as if she told them, but I mean, with a face like that, it doesn't matter. The memory of her hotness will pay their bills and heal their wounds. She has a lipstick that exploded the flashbulbs in their cameras, which is the perfect opportunity for Batman to slip into costume. But he's still dazed, and so in his haste to pursue her, he ends up throwing himself down a broken elevator shaft. Thankfully, the repairman working on the shaft think he did it on purpose, so his reputation remains intact. Ivy spots him leaving the building, but she already has plans for his escape, or well, his attempt to capture her, so for her own escape. It seems like she has hired some people to stand on the street and protect her. They're probably proper henchmen, but the way they talk about it makes it sound like she was just, hey you, want $100? Poison Ivy gave us $100 a piece to stay out in the fresh air, and promised just another century note for each mug we stop coming out of the museum. Batman ought to be worth a cool grand. This sure is combining business with pleasure. It's important to enjoy your work. This distraction allows Poison Ivy to leave, but not before she falls prey to a deadly disease, a contagious one that's hard to avoid. It's brubatitis, a horrible condition that causes you to have feelings for both Bruce Wayne and Batman, and be unable to decide between them. The only cure is applying different writers directly to the forehead. Bruce Wayne's cute, but Batman? He's a real man. Part 2! Robin shows up and is in rare sass form. I use the stairs. I'm allergic to open elevator shaft doors. Woof, Dick's feeling bratty today. What's that kooky look in your eyes, Batman? What? Oh, I was thinking of how cute Poison Ivy is. I hate to put such a beautiful doll behind bars. It's 1966, and no one said dame yet, only doll, and that is not the same thing. You better take a cold shower and forget about her, Batman. Don't worry, Silver Age Robin is always here to disapprove and actively try and stop Batman's love interests. Be they heroic or villainous, Robin doesn't care. Poison Ivy, meanwhile, has decided that she's gonna prove that she's the #1 villainess, and that the quickest way to do that is to eliminate the others. Where did she get pictures of both Bruce and Batman for this picture frame? Did she cut them out of a newspaper or magazine? Girl, come on now. So she sends letters to all the top female villains with claims that they are from one of the others, challenging them to hold on to their #1 status. The whole, oh, if you're #1, you'll meet me outside after school in the parking lot. You better come prove it. Where are you, chicken? Walk, walk. Sorry, clucking like a chicken is for drugged out Captain America. Here, chicky, chicky, chicky. Bark, 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 bark. Bark, bark, bark. Also, she sent a letter to Bruce and to Batman inviting both to her house to prove to them that she is the #1 villain, and then they'll fall in love with her. She'll woo one of them to be by her side. They take the Batcopter to her house. So everybody showed up early to this except for Batman. Clearly he's the only one who knows anything about being fashionably late. Bunch of keeners. And so into the fray they go. Zam, bap, pow. The 3 #1 baddies try to leave at the arrival of the dynamic duo, but as they flee they run smack dab into Poison Ivy. And she's got a crown for the real #1 villain, which she presents to them, and they proceed to have a cat fight over it. I'm deposing you as of right now. But Poison Ivy electrified the crown, and so they're all getting shocked, but just enough to hold them there, not enough to kill them because comics code. She's committed the perfect crime? Well, I mean, it's better than the others because at least she did something. Forget all the nonsense of fighting for the law, Batman. Join me, and together we can rule the Sorry, wrong part of nerddom. Together, we can be the #1 royal couple of crime. Why fight it? Fate meant it that way. All it will take is this kiss to prove it. There it is, the most consistently Ivy thing that happens this issue. The poison and disorienting kiss. And the manipulation. Batman, beware of Poison Ivy. Whoa, he said the title, now he gets a cash prize. Batman is off his game because her kiss contained chloroform. That has horrifying implications. But she's not affected because she's wearing a nose filter. That's right up there with having rubber lips. That Joel Schumacher movie really did achieve Silver Age, didn't it? Damn, I should have done her voice sultry with like a nasal filter sound. Hold on. All it will take is this kiss to prove it. Ivy tries to escape by scaling a wall because Robin's managed to kind of get Batman Batman back into the game, but Batman knocks her off with a batarang and captures her. Good shot, Batman! You've caught Poison Ivy! Robin's always at his highest point when he sees Batman's romances get thwarted. It brings him so much joy. I warn you, Batman. Once you've caught Poison Ivy, you'll never get rid of it. That's not true. He's got Bat Calamine lotion in his belt. I'm not worried about getting out of here. You will help me. Just you wait and see. The end! Except not, because she's back essentially one issue later. I say essentially because she reappears in 183, so there is an issue 182 in between them. But that is a special giant-sized issue where they reprint a bunch of older stories. So narratively, it's like she came back one issue later. So that was Poison Ivy. Can you tell they feel clever calling her that? They referenced it enough times, my goodness. So this origin, not gonna lie, when you're familiar with the more modern versions of the character, it's a little rough. Here she's got the manipulative femme fatale vibe and the lead up to controlling kisses. She can't control plants or doesn't really do anything plant related as of yet. And she seems to kinda like Batman, or does so in a lazy all-woman like Batman throwaway manner. So she doesn't have her misanthropic I hate all people thing going on yet. She doesn't have a name or an origin yet either. It's post-Crisis that will start to get the origin that people are the most familiar with. That's Crisis on Infinite Earths. The story is playing into a lot of assumptions about femininity and the danger surrounding it, and also what people assume people want out of female villains or what their motivations would be. She's largely eye candy. The focus is on how hot she is, and also the other female villains, but not on their actual villainous exploits. She's obsessed with getting a man to rule by her side, even though, I mean, technically she doesn't really need one. I mean, if she wanted one, fine, but it's kind of just presented as a, well, of course, like as a given. Also, the ultimate showdown is all of the ladies having a cat fight over a crown. It's not the finest hour the 60s had to offer, because I mean, you have a story like this, but then you have others, like the introduction of Batgirl Barbara Gordon, an independent college grad using her degree, fighting crime for kicks. So it varied. Not every female depiction was like this, but it is the type of story you're likely to find when people are looking back and pointing at poor depictions. However, this story actually could have been pulled off much better, even with the plot that it has. Its biggest problem is that it's pretty lazy and cookie cutter. It takes all the beats that you're familiar with and then just gives them back to you. Only your villainess looks like Bettie Page. So aside from Ivy herself, it doesn't bring too much new to the table. But Ivy must have had something, because she sticks around, and even though she's not heavily featured, she's added as a staple to teams and key Batman events as a support. So it comes to feel like she's a big part of the Rogues Gallery. She gets in by association and by being seen with all of the big baddies. Then you have to start thinking, well, she must have some clout herself. And each time she appears, she starts to get more and more abilities and things that she can do. For example, she's teamed up with the Scarecrow and is taking on Wonder Woman. And later writers really work wonders with her once the ecology angle is added. And well, a proper backstory that still incorporates her being hot, but it's not the only thing. So this story, while not the strongest, it still gave us Ivy, Poison Ivy. And thankfully she grew far more than her first appearance. Pun fully intended, I'll see myself out. I also largely did this issue because I wanted to do the follow-up, because Robin is in rare form. It's a pleasure to see you back in the groove, Big Daddy. Just a snippet of things to come. You know you're excited and you don't want to miss it, so please be sure to do all of the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking some time out of your day to spend it discussing comics with me. I always appreciate it. And I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.